Auburn freshman Chance Westry made his Auburn debut, but tonight was about the entire team.
This is happening in Auburn, Alabama. We're a football school, but we're also an everything school.
You are Locked On Auburn, your daily podcast on the Auburn Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, welcome on into Locked On Auburn, your daily Auburn Tigers podcast. Thank you so much for making Locked On Auburn your first listen every single day. For some of you, maybe it's your second or possibly your third. It's a little post-game action, so that means we're joined by Darrell Dapprich, Montgomery radio vet. Auburn defeating Winthrop. Get bonus points in the live chat if you can tell us where Winthrop is. 89-65. And let's start, Darrell, with the energy around this team going into it. Because obviously Johni Broome was spectacular. Obviously Wendell Green, by far his best game of the season. But let's start with the storyline going into this game. And it was Chance Westry making his Auburn basketball debut.
Yeah, Bruce Pearl basically announces a couple days ago that Chance is going to make his regular season debut, that he's going to play approximately 10 to 15 minutes. He ended up playing 17, so he was pretty prophetic with that. I think everyone was real excited to see, where he fit in, how he was plugged in. And look, we saw some flashes early that the no-look pass was sweet. The and one to score his first collegiate points was nice. You can tell all the tools are in the toolbox, and as he starts to get comfortable over the next month and starts to get back into basketball shape and rhythm, man, he is going to be special. And what a great piece to have for Bruce Pearl. No doubt about it.
And I loved how willing he was to attempt to score and to shoot. And the whole and one, you sent me a text after that, the and one to start his scoring career at Auburn, that I think two trips later now he threw up a three. And so he's not timid. And that's what you love to see.
He's aggressive, and I think as a freshman, as a true freshman, that's all you could hope for, is that he is going to have to fill a particular role. He's going to have to fill a particular void, I think, for this team. I think he realizes that. I think the trip to Israel, like we all thought, was just so beneficial.
Right.
Kind of getting him used to playing with these guys and chemistry-wise. So I don't think in any way – we see this is the new norm in college basketball now. These freshmen come in where it used to be, probably before you were born, Zach, to be quite honest with you, where it used to be freshmen did not play, right away. They had to wait 2 or 3 years because kids stayed for all four. Now you're seeing not only the one and dones, you're seeing freshmen come and play and make an immediate impact in the starting lineup and significant minutes. It's completely different now. So a guy like Chance Westry knows that that's what he's going to be what's going to be expected of him. If he can get to around 20 to 21 minutes, I think that's where he'll end up being. When his knee progresses, it's just going to be, he's going to be counted on to give you double digits and to give you good 3-point shooting, and I think he's going to be up to the task.
Right. So all in all, I was happy with Chance Westry. So we'll see. Another guard I was impressed with, obviously, Wendell Green, 6 of 10 from the floor, 4 of 6 from 3. We've talked about this already, Darrell, right, this season, where you're going to have nights for this Auburn team, I think, just with the collection of guards that you have with Wendell and KD and Zep. You're going to have nights where the three ball doesn't land, and you're also going to have nights where it does. And fortunately, against Winthrop, it is exactly a night where it did.
I think it was very, very big that the first 2 threes that Auburn attempted got knocked down. Zep and Wendell both hit their first 2 threes. And I think that set the tone, because if you look at it, I think the stat was in the last 2 games, Auburn had 9 3-point field goals combined. They hit 9 tonight. Shot 39%. I'll take that all day long. When they're shooting the ball close to 40%, Zep's Jasper is contributing offensively. Mm-hmm. Broome plays the way he did, and they clean up on the glass. Winthrop is being touted as a tournament team. They're a Big South staple. They win that conference every year, and you see what the
Here-
upsets around college basketball, and Auburn just smoked them 34.
Did you hear the stats that they were reading about Winthrop? They were like 12 of their last 13 on the road, and they've won like double digit straight at home. Like that's
a good basketball team.
I don't care what conference you're in. That's hard to do.
Well, at the bottom line is whatever conference you're in, if you're touted as a tournament team and somebody that has won their conference the last couple of years, and they'll get into the NCAA tournament, and they've won a game or two in the NCAA tournament in their history. I think Bruce Pearl, sometimes he throws out things before games, and I think it's just coach speak to keep his team focused. He was very concerned with Winthrop and the challenge that they could present Auburn. And I think South Florida is a team that's not on the same level as Winthrop. And then look what Auburn does when they're hitting on all cylinders. That is a tournament team. That's the kind of team you probably play in the first round, right? And so as a 3 seed or a 2 seed, you draw Winthrop. And so, we saw what would happen with New Mexico State a few years ago. Anything could happen. Auburn came out and took care of business. And I'm telling you, Broome showed flashes of what we thought he could be. Yeah. He can be special around the basket. And I don't know. I think it's just going to be a situation, Zach, where any given night it could be someone different. Alan Flanagan carried this team against South Florida. Tonight it was Green. Green has been the constant, though, through these first 3 games, right? He came in averaging 18 a game, and he dang near got that tonight. He got 16. So he's been the constant that every game he's been a scorer and a leader. And then everyone else has kind of taken turns. That really speaks well and bodes well. Obviously, Chris Moore got hurt and Cardwell got hurt. You'd have seen more from them down the stretch, too.
So last year, we talked about okay, it's going to be a different guy every night. There's no way this team can go cold because somebody else is going to step up. And then obviously that happened down the stretch with the exception of Jabari. And I just don't think Wendell's going to be as consistent as Jabari. So that's my only concern. But maybe an extra year of college basketball for Alan Flanagan, for Zep Jasper, for Katie Johnson. Perhaps that's less likely to happen this year than it was a year ago. Still, I think there's some cause for concern with all of that. But still, I think this can be a good basketball team for several different reasons. Patrick says 12 is in a funk. 12 is Zep Jasper. I think his best scoring night so far in the short year here, 8 points, 3 of 6 from the floor. 2 of 4 from 3.
You take that all night long.
I don't know what else you want from that. Yeah, and then he's a great defender. I don't know about all that.
He looked better tonight than he has all year, and I think again, I said something in the Discord about it that when you get him giving you almost double digits, I mean, I'm telling you that look at the guard scoring. If you combine 4 guards, right? When Chance Westry starts getting going, and you got KD and Wendell and Zep, if you look up and they combine for 30, I mean, my goodness, I don't care how you get 30. I don't care if you have a backcourt of 2 guys and one guy gets 26 a night and one guy gets 4. I really don't care. I don't care if you split up the pie 5 ways. You get 30, 40 points from your backcourt. It's a guard-centric league, and in the NCAA tournament, you've got to have guard play. And then, you look and Trehor's got a quiet 11, double digits tonight. I mean, that's a kid that I think you're going to watch.
3.
Whew. Oh, and he's going to just mature and get better and have growth throughout the year. And he's going to be – I mean, remember, Chuma, Kiki, and some of those guys, it took them half the year. Jabari was a freak. He just was different. But a lot of the Auburn freshmen that came and made an impact, it took them a while. Mm-hmm. And Trehor is going to be one of those guys, I think, down the stretch, come the second half of the season. I just – so many weapons, so much sharing of the basketball, so much depth. Tonight is where you saw a glimpse of how special – because, again, this isn't Arkansas Pine Bluff. This isn't, now Texas Southern, the next opponent, they beat Arizona State. Now, of course, they played that game at Texas Southern, which is really weird. The SWAC is doing this thing where they're having people come to their gyms.
Yeah, pretty cool.
But Winthrop is again a legitimate tournament team, and it was 34 points. And when you look at what happened across the country, Louisville loses to Appalachian State tonight. Of course, they're nothing, but there's some. Colorado beats Tennessee. There's some really big upsets. You have got to. These mid-majors can bring it every night, and you have got to be ready to play. So that's a nice win for Auburn tonight. I really am impressed and really excited. Yeah,
I'm there with you. Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, Winthrop, who cares?" But I mean, they're a tournament team.
Yeah,
as you said. War Eagle from Orange Beach. Yes, War Eagle. That's exciting. Ricky, not related to the game, but I do think it's worth noting. So Louisville lost again tonight to App State. I think they're 0-3 on the year. Ricky says, remember when Louisville fans thought they were going to get Bruce? They have lost 3 in a row to Bellarmine, Wright State, and App State to start 0-3. That's
and remember, I mean, that the first time an ACC school in the history of the league has started out 0-3 in non-conference. Think about how long the ACC's been around. Of course, the ACC does what a lot of teams do, or a lot of schools do. Conferences, they load up on some cupcakes early. The difference is Louisville's getting beat by them, and now they got to go. The ACC is a death march, man, and they can't get it done in preseason. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. So yeah, the Bruce tie with the tie-in that is pretty funny.
Yeah, no question about it. All right, so Johni Broome was great. 18 points in just 20 minutes. Oh yeah, 13 rebounds, 5 blocks, 2 steals. I mean, that is a jam-packed stat line. I mean, what else do you want from a guy like that? And to me, it's what it looks like, Darrell. It's not necessarily like that he just did it. It's what it looked like, because he put up some okay numbers in the first few games, but that ankle, you could tell, was still bothering him a little bit. He looked fresh to me this evening. And to me, that's more important than the points when you talk about impact for the entire season.
He got off his feet quick. He was explosive. That's what you look for, is how quick he gets up, right? He gets off his feet. He was doing that in 3 facets of the game. He was doing it offensively around the glass. He was doing it from a rebounding standpoint, sometimes tapping the ball, keeping it alive. And then he was a holy terror early on with block shots. So from an ankle standpoint, what you try to gauge how close someone is to being 100% is how explosive and quick they are off that first jump, right? I mean, that's the key. And he looked very, very good and explosive and quick off his feet from a leaping standpoint. I guess as the season progresses, again, he cleans up so many good things around the rim, and he's got a nice touch. He's got a little. I think as the season goes on, we'll watch him develop a little bit more of a mid-range jumper, like inside the key, right inside the free throw line where you do that little curl. I think you'll see that.
I mean, he's been in basketball so long, it's like he kind of is who he is at this point, right?
But we saw that at Morehead State. That's what I'm saying. He did that at Morehead State last year. Yeah, he had some of that mid-range inside, maybe not against Auburn, but if you go back and watch tape on him, he actually had some baskets inside that elbow area. Maybe he doesn't need to do that at Auburn. Maybe it's a different offense, different
I'll
set.
take it, though. I mean, all the stuff I've seen from him has been pretty much around the basket, so that's encouraging. That's encouraging that you say that. All right, let's talk about Wendell Green. Let's talk about the man of the hour in just a moment right here on Locked On Auburn. This post-game show is brought to you by our friends at Simply Safe. If you've thought about securing your home with home security but have been putting it off, you'll want to listen up. Right now, Locked On Auburn listeners, yes, you can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you don't want to miss it. We all know how important our families are, as well as our homes and our possessions. Simply Safe understands that. With their monitoring service 24/7, they will make sure you are taken care of. So don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system that I recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedoncollege. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Darrell, Wendell Green, if he can.
Before you get into Wendell Green, I want to make sure you understand the little shout out I just did right here when you were talking about Simply Safe. You and Charlie 5 today had a great, So I went ahead and went with I buttoned the top button there.
People really liked our read.
Yeah, and so while you were doing that, I hate to interrupt, I went top button just to kind of throw a subliminal message on that.
Well, I had the read pulled up, so I didn't see you. So I'm glad that you pointed that out.
I'm going to go ahead and go back to the John Travolta.
It looks incredibly uncomfortable. Yeah,
I can't pull it off. I've got to go with the John Travolta Italian chest hair, open it up thing. Let's go.
Yeah, hey, I want to throw it to Jack Singley real quick. He had a great comment since we were just talking about Johni Broome. Jack says Broome should never be compared to Kessler. Broome is vastly different athlete than Walker. I feel his ability to change direction and explosiveness is a difference maker for this front court. I think we talked about this a little bit going into the season. I like what Broome offers as an offensive threat more than Kessler's going into the season. But Kessler, obviously, defensively, you'll never be able to replace that.
No, I think Broome is more dynamic offensively. He can score the basketball in a more variety of ways. Kessler was clean up around the basket, get a lot of dunks, maybe some putbacks. What we just talked about, Broome's got a little bit of a touch. He's got that little teardrop thing. So he has got more options to score the basketball, and he's more dynamic offensively than Kessler is. Kessler was a machine blocking the basketball. But at the end of the day, like we talked about last week, I wouldn't be surprised if Auburn's block totals this year were higher than last year because you could throw in more players. It's not going to be 155 from one dude, but Broome and Cardwell combined could go a long way in making Auburn have more blocks this year.
Yeah, Dylan's step has been impressive to me. And I don't know if it's necessarily that he got a whole lot better or she's getting more opportunities. I'm not sure. But regardless, his production, I've been really happy with it. Sorry I keep looking this way. I've got the Kentucky-Michigan State game on, and it is tied with like 3 seconds left. So.
Yeah, I've got something on, too. I'm kind of going full. We're like in this kind of the studio setting today,
I guess so. I guess so. All right, let's talk about the best player on the court tonight, which was Wendell Green. He looked like the upside of what you roll the dice on when you have Wendell Green shoot as much as he does. Tonight it paid off. 6 of 10, but more importantly, 4 of 6 from 3. If Wendell ever shoots 4 of 6 from 3 and Auburn loses the game, I'll think that they miscounted somewhere. I just won't believe it. And to me, when Wendell is going, and as the Auburn basketball Twitter account put out, logo win, it's just tough for you to beat Auburn. He had the highest plus minus on the team, which you and I have both talked about this before. I probably put more stock into that than I should. Didn't go to the free throw line, which is a little different. He was definitely living on the perimeter more, but still, I loved it. I loved every second of it. Props to you, Wendell Green. The
key too is that he's not one-dimensional. Wendell Green was 4 of 6 from 3-point land, but he also scored inside with that, obviously trademark slashing to the basket very, very quick. And so when you can do that as a point guard and when you can go inside and you can score amongst the trees, you can also hit the threes. And then he made some really nice passes too. I don't know how many assists he had, but he had a couple that, that's what's unfortunate that they couldn't finish around the rim. Yeah. He had 5 assists. I mean, and he could have had 8, but they got fouled and then they couldn't finish around the rim. And so they went to the free throw line, which is a kind of an empty stat, but he could have had 7 or 8 assists. Point guard play tonight overall, I mean, look at what I loved it. I mean, what Donaldson did, 5 points off the bench, 5 rebounds, one of the nicest scoop up and under shots too.
Yeah, somebody commented about that. That was a great play. That was a great play. And then he got fired up, which I love, but also it's like, all right, your job is to defend the baseline in that scenario. So, get back and get ready, cheer later. That was my only note, but still also I think they were up by like 25 at that point. So
right.
Who cares? So
yeah, Wendell Green, I mean, again, he is emerging. Remember, this is a kid last year that came off the bench most of the time. He'd come in the game with about 3 or 4 minutes into the game, inject life because Zepp was starting. And I just think that he's got a whole new role, and you could just see the confidence. This team will go with him. It's going to be interesting to see if he changes his game or the way he approaches the game. If for some night he's not scoring because he scored, 18 and then got 16 tonight. If for whatever reason on a particular night he gets shut down, he's going to have to change his game and look to distribute the basketball a little bit more if he knows he's not feeling it or if shots aren't falling.
Do you trust that he can do that? Do you
I
trust
think
that he can make a pivot?
Yeah, because here's what will happen. Because of the guard depth, Bruce will jerk him off the floor and say, give me more, change your game, or you're going to sit here right next to me. I think the great equalizer and the great motivator is sometimes with guys that are that competitive is playing time. So I think if he wants to be the ultimate prototypical point guard, some nights he's going to have to distribute the basketball if he's not getting 16, 17, 18, if the shots aren't falling. I think that's a maturation process I think he can achieve because you've got guys, Westry, Zep, KD behind him that can come in and get some of those minutes. So I think he will. I really do. I think he's another year older, another year smarter, more mature. I think his game will evolve into that.
Yeah, this Kentucky-Michigan State game's in overtime, so that's wild. YouTube user, I don't know why your name didn't load, but thank you for watching, says, I'd start Westry at point guard and Green at the shooting guard. I've seen a few people say this on Twitter. I don't think you want Wendell Green off ball. I don't think he's an off-ball offensive player. I don't really like him as an off-ball defensive player either. That's just not who he is. And also, I don't know why you would ever willingly choose to have a freshman play point guard as well. As good as Westry is, I don't think that works out for Wendell Green.
He's so much better with the ball in his hands, creating for himself than he is standing around off ball. And there are some guys that are the opposite of that. There are some guys that are catch and shoot. They love to, get screens set for him, come off ball screens and let it rip. He is just a creator. When the ball's in his hands and he's slashing to the basket or he's stepping back and shooting that three after a little head fake, that kind of thing, he's so much more effective. He's just a better player creating on his own. Right.
And I think that's for better or for worse. And you can see that he wants to shoot it like all the time. and Bruce, I think Bruce would be okay with it. Who else stood out to you tonight? I think we touched on the main three, right? The storyline of Chance Westry's debut, Wendell Green, Johni Broome. I think we're both incredible in different ways. Who else stood out to you? Yohan Traore, I guess. He did at 11.
Yeah, he did late. And again, I'll go back to the short time that Donaldson was in there. He impressed me with his physicality. He made some nice passes. He got the ball up very, very quickly. And again, I'm big on guards rebounding. I just am. I think that's a plus. That's icing on the cake. And he did a really good job when he got in the game to show some physicality, get some rebounds, and it was good flow. The pace of play did not drop off. So I was impressed with him as well.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Most efficient player tonight was Dylan Cardwell. As we mentioned, only 16 minutes. Stretch Akingbola got in, recorded a positive stat with a rebound and a steal. You absolutely love to see that. Jalen Williams. This is the second time in a row Jalen Williams has had a not Jalen Williams type night. 2 of 7, not great. He missed the only 3 that he took. Jalen Williams is not a player that shoots it 7 times and only scores 4 points. That's not who he is.
No, if he shoots it 7 times, you're expecting him to be in double digits. I mean, that's what we've seen.
Yeah.
But this is the beauty of this basketball team. When we record this Friday night, we might just be talking about what a great game Jalen Williams had as he goes for a quiet, cool, silky 16. I mean, that's how it is. I mean, it's just, and Flanagan, could bounce back and have 14, or Westry could have his first breakout double-digit game. It's the beauty of going 11 deep and having somebody on any particular night be the one you talk about. Jalen Williams could disappear for a few games, and then you blink and he could drop 18 on you one night. And
right,
it's just unique. It's a unique situation.
You won't even feel it happening. It's like getting bit by one of those like snakes where it's like you get bit, you don't even realize it, then it's too late.
You're dead. Yeah, you're dead.
You're dead.
Those poisonous asps, they're called. They're very poisonous.
Oh, careful language. Careful.
Well, that's why I put the emphasis on the P. You notice how I really stress the P.
I love it. Always
Yeah.
stress the P for sure.
Always stress the P, man.
Is there, and this is a little bit of a weird game because it was such a blowout and
Yeah.
a runaway late.
It
Is there
felt
a
good,
player?
though.
It felt good. It felt good to
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
not
just sit
be
back.
stressing. Yeah, that's nice. Is there a player where you look at the shot totals and you're like, they probably shot too much or not enough, one way or the other? Is there one that stands out to you?
I think that's a great question. I think that
well, thank you, Darrell. Thank you.
I think I was actually very, very happy that KD Johnson only shot it 6 times. So he's a guy that you may want to see. Well, he actually shot it more than that because he had a couple 3-point attempts too. But normally you look up at him and you go, he's just shooting the basketball too much.
Oh, he was 2 of 6 from the floor.
Yeah, 2 of 6 from the floor. He shot. Yeah. So I mean, I think that he could have shot it a little bit more. I would have been okay with him shooting it 8 or 9 times because typically it takes him a little while. But you normally look at him and go, oh, shot selection. Wendell Green shot it 10 times. We want that. Broome shot it 17, but I like that he shot it 17. So. And
3 of those were one possession, by the way.
Flanagan shot it 3 times, so I definitely would say I'd like to see Flanagan shoot it more than 3 times.
Yeah, I wonder why that is.
I don't know. I would.
He's 20 minutes.
20 minutes. Had 5 rebounds, 1 assist. Went to the free throw line 4 times. Excuse me.
You're good.
That was a little hiccup there.
That's cool.
And so, yeah, I think Flanagan, I would have liked to see him shoot the basketball a little bit more. And again, this is depending on how the game and the flow is going. If Zepp is 3 of 6, maybe I want to, if he's hot, maybe I'd like to see him shoot it a couple more times too, if he's feeling it. If he's not, no. But if you see him at 3 of 6 and it's one of those nights where he's feeling it and he's contributing.
And 2 of 4 from 3, right?
Yeah, ride it. Go ahead and shoot a couple more.
Heat check. Absolutely. Ashton asks, should Chance Westry shoot it more from deep or just ease him in? I wouldn't have minded seeing him shoot it more. He shot, I'm trying to find his 6 times, I think. Did he shoot it? He
shot it 6 times, and 2 of those were from behind the arc.
Yeah,
3-point line.
2 of 6. Yeah, 0 of 2 from 3. I wouldn't have minded seeing Chance shoot it more just because of the game, the flow of the game. Like, it's more important for Chance Westry to get comfortable than it is to beat Winthrop by 30 instead of 20, right? I'm totally cool with young guys like Chance doing that. And I think you could say the same for Trey Donaldson as well, Darrell. Just getting these young guys comfortable shooting in a D1 basketball game, I think that's worth it.
The reason why it's so important that Chance Westry continues to shoot threes is because we've already seen that he can be dynamic off that first step, that dribble, drive, and getting to the basket. So what happens is he's going to blow by a lot of defenders if he starts hitting threes and they come out on him and challenge him and he puts the ball on the floor and he's gone. If he doesn't shoot the 3, they'll sag on him. And when they sag on him, those lanes will not be as open. The dribble drive will not be there. So even attempting a 3 will make somebody run out at you or come out and extend, right, defensively and guard. Because I think we saw a glimpse tonight of how special he can be putting the ball on the floor.
Sure.
Not only scoring, but then he found somebody underneath the basket wide open once he dribbled in the lane, got penetration. So to continue to have those open lanes and to have that spacing, I think he needs to continue to shoot it from deep. Not only because I think he can hit them, but I think it'll keep the defense from sagging on him.
Oh my God. I think Kentucky's up 70-69 with 32 seconds left, and I think they just traveled. That's hilarious.
Go Sparty.
Kentucky looks like an NBA team.
Yeah.
They look so good.
They're pretty stinking good.
Just physically, like, oh my gosh, they look the part.
And they're ready to play Auburn this year. Woo! It's going to be they're ready and waiting.
They may run away with the conference. I mean, a lot of the teams at the top, I think, have a lot of like major holes, but we'll see what happens. All right, for folks hanging out with us live, I want to know who your MVP of the game was tonight. Darrell, I'll let you think about it just for a second. Mine's Johni Broome. I think what he did was incredible. And also, I think what Johni Broome did is more sustainable over the course of the season instead of what, some of the guards did. So I really, really like that from a sustainability standpoint. That's what wins you games in the SEC.
Well, I agree with you that he's my MVP as well. And the shot selection and the shots he hit were very, very makeable bunnies. A lot of them, the level of difficulty, the degree of difficulty was not there. So those kind of shots will always be there. Another key point about him, why I think he was so valuable tonight, is typically when a guy puts up those kind of offensive numbers, you wonder where his head is defensively. You don't have to wonder about that with Johni Broome. He was a complete basketball player tonight. And I love seeing a guy that'll drop 18 and he'll have 6 blocks. I mean, that's special, man. And that's hard when you guard like that, defend like that, and still score and still rebound. And he was getting after it on the offensive glass too.
Right.
Complete game tonight by him.
Yep. Let's see. Jamal says, I feel like the offense should be ran through Traore and Broome. By the end of the year, it might, but Bruce Pearl's still going to run everything through his point guard. Now, does Chance Westry ever start bringing the ball down the floor? That'll be fun to see. Jack says, assuming Chance still is not 100% healthy, the potential this team has is going to be great. I think we can assume that he's pretty close to 100% healthy. I think his issue is more game conditioning than like the health and structure of his knee. They wouldn't have played him if he wasn't 100% healthy. There's no benefit to that.
You'll
agree with that, Darrell?
I agree 100%. And I think that you'll see the game conditioning and him being back in game shape probably about 2 weeks. Judge him and let the barometer for him be 2 weeks from now, and look at his conditioning and his game shape. And I think we'll see the flashes and how special he's going to be. But I say give it a couple weeks, and they'll ease him in. But he played 17 minutes. It'll get up to 22 probably at some point.
Is that where it's going to level out at, you think?
I think so. But only because I think it's because out of necessity. I mean, because you've got too many other people that you're getting quality minutes from in the backcourt. Now, if you slide him to the 3, like we talked about last week, then maybe Chris Moore's minutes go down a little bit. It just depends. He's got so many options. Remember now, when Westry came in the game tonight, he came in at the 1. He started out tonight playing the point guard position.
Good point.
And so I made a note of that and was like, okay, I thought he was going to come in, play the 3 or play the off guard, the 2 guard. He came in, he was playing the 1. And so the versatility
I think they like
there.
The 3 right now with Chris Moore and Alan Flanagan.
I do too.
Boy, I would not have guessed that 3 weeks ago.
I wouldn't have either. Chris Moore was a guy that you had to sell me on this year. I was like, okay, show me. He was my Missouri player, the show me state, right? Show me, Chris Moore, what you're going to be able to contribute and bring to this basketball team. And so far, so good. I like all his intangibles. It's unfortunate he got whacked upside the head. I think they did that for concussion protocol, just to be careful, because he could have been in double digits, had a really nice game, had been able to play the whole way and not got hurt.
And there's no reason to not to play those guys in that type of game. Kentucky, Michigan State's going to double overtime. This is crazy.
Wow.
This is a crazy game.
Unbelievable.
Like 1 second left, and Michigan State dunked it to tie it up. That's just crazy. Passed up the 3 to go for the tie. That was a smart play by that player.
Yeah.
Brent says Auburn jet pilot for MVP, which is funny because everybody's looking at Auburn flight trackers right now. That's not how it works, but
yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah. Auburn had a lot of points in the lane tonight. I really like seeing that the lane scoring that they had tonight.
All right. AJ has an interesting point that I don't fully agree with, but let's dissect it just for a second. AJ says, KD might be the most athletic player on the team. He just doesn't strike me as a great shooter. And I don't know how I feel about him with the game on the line in March. You have to play him, though. I think KD is a great piece. I don't think I agree with you on the most athletic player on the team. I do think he is a better drive to the basket and score than a perimeter guy, and he wants to be a perimeter guy really badly. But Darrell, I don't know if we talked about this on air or off air, but with KD losing 20 pounds, I was curious to see how that would impact him, right? Because he's a physical player, both on offense and defense. And so I was curious to see how that would impact him. I haven't seen that much of a difference in his step or in its explosiveness or anything like that. But he could be a great piece on offense. I just don't want him shooting it from deep, 5 or 6 times a game.
I think there's a role that you don't want him, I think, with the ball in his hands when it's down to, to take the last shot or anything like that. I do think that he's very, very quick. He's very fast. I think that he got more lean in the offseason, but he's chaotic. He creates chaos when he comes in the game, whether it's good or bad. I mean, he's absolutely a bundle of energy. He's all over the place. He's very fast. He's a blur, and he just does things at such a high speed that can be good, that can be bad. So knowing when to pick your moments and when that's something that you value, I don't think you value that when you're trying to slow the game down and take the last shot, right? That's where that wouldn't be something that would be beneficial. But when you're trying to get back into a basketball game and get a quick shot of energy and get back, he is absolutely the perfect person for that to inject in the game.
Yep, I'm with you on that. Donovan says Chance is going to be our best player at the end of the season, in my opinion. Not a bad guess. Not a bad guess for sure. I still may be in the Traore camp for that, but I think both of them are worthy of that. I think you could say Johni. I think. How
about this? How about this? May be controversial. I predicted at the end of the year you are not going to be able to definitively say this guy is the best player on the team. I think you're going to have a hard time identifying one guy that you consider to be the best guy. I think it's going to be a handful of guys, and it's going to be a half dozen one, 6 of the other, and you're not going to be definitive. You can't look and say that's the dude, right? Now, remember that
good or bad?
I think that's wonderful. I think that's good. I think that because what happens is when that one player that you count on so much has that off game or gets absolutely clamped down or gets double teamed, then where are you going to go? Remember, Jabari Smith was a stud, and when he struggled against Miami in the tournament a little bit or didn't play at that level, it hurt Auburn. The 2019 team that went to the Final Four, I will say this, at the end of the year, it was Chuma Okeke who was the best player on that team. It was Chuma who was probably the best player, was playing better than anybody in the tournament before he got hurt.
Sure.
You couldn't say that halfway through the year. There was a handful. One night it was Harper, one night it was Brown, one night it was him. So I think this team's going to be similar that way, that it's going to be hard to identify the guy at the end of the year. And I think that's good.
Yeah. I think the closest thing we have to Chuma is Traore. So maybe we'll see.
Yeah, if he progresses and again,
he's got to take a step. But
Okoro was that guy, right? He was a freshman, true freshman, came in, and he was Auburn's best player.
And he started to finally make threes towards the end of the year.
Yes,
and Auburn was red hot going into the SEC tournament, and then COVID, the world shut down. So, well, cool, Darrell. Thank you so much for.
Hey, you're welcome.
As always, thank you to all of you. Hey, for the folks watching here live, please like and subscribe. Like the video and please subscribe. Would really, really appreciate it. And of course, if you're watching or listening after the fact, we're going to do this after every game this year. So be sure to come by and hang out with us. We'd love to have you. Darrell, how can people check out what you got going on, bud?
You can follow me on Twitter. I'm on social media. I'm pretty active at DAP6410. And then on Monday mornings, WANI with our good friend Ben Taylor. Good morning, Auburn Opelika. From about 7:10 to 7:30, fun time of year. We'll be talking coaching search and basketball. A lot of good things to discuss.
You can find all of my written work at auburndaily.com. We'll see you later. This has been Locked On Auburn.